Back here, live on Radio Row in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we've interviewed everybody on this show this week, from Mark Levin in the radio industry to Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, all these, Anthony D'Esposito, all these fine politicians. Laura Trump's a dear friend of mine. But I have to tell you that going to the event every night and watching people speak, I was told by Corey Lewandowski that the theme this year was going to be real Americans, real struggles. And we know that while Joe Biden is clearly, in our lifetime, the worst president ever, and he's made a lot of mistakes, the biggest mistake he's made is what he's done with the border. Donald Trump had that border secure. We were great. Now the cartels, fentanyl coming across the border every day is killing our kids. I remember Madeline Brown a couple nights ago speaking, and she was terrific. Her son survived in Afghanistan but was murdered in the streets of New York, and the DA, Alvin Bragg, did nothing about it. Then, of course, on Wednesday night, we had Miss Lopez talking about her son, who was also killed. And now I have the opportunity to speak with another lady who spoke here at the convention. I'm sure she was hugely honored. And that is Ann Funder, whose son, Weston, is unfortunately one of the people that suffered, and her family has suffered through what I just talked about, the border and the fentanyl crisis. So thank you for stopping by. First of all, you were great on stage, and I find you to be very courageous. And I love you, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Let's start with this before we get to Weston, what happened. Speaking on stage here in Milwaukee, I know you love President Trump. Mm-hmm. What was that like for you?
It was scary.
You were scared?
Oh, yeah.
But you do TV, and I've seen you. You do media, but this was different, I guess. Right in front of you, all these people, right?
I have done media in the past. I haven't really done much since my son died. It kind of just, I stopped it all. So, but I have never been in front of a crowd like that. That wasn't the scary part for me. I was okay with the crowd. I was even okay with being broadcast. I heard President Trump was going to be there.
He was there.
And that's what was so nerve-wracking. I said, oh, he's going to be watching me. Yes.
Well, he loves you. He's that type of person.
I know.
So for folks that don't know your story, how old was Weston? And I hate to do this. I do, trust me. But what happened? What exactly happened?
He was 15, and he got caught up in the peer pressure. And, he was one of those kids that, wanted to fit in. He always had a lot of friends. He lived to make people laugh. He was just a fun kid. He always had a ton of friends. And, he was in a new situation, a new school. He had been private schooled forever, and it was the first time at a public school. He wanted to try public school and have what, quote unquote, the high school experience, a real one. So he still had all of his amazing friends, but there was this one pocket of friends, which, some of them are really good kids, but in particular there was, someone that wasn't, who was dealing, fentanyl and telling kids that it was Percocet. And I guess in a moment of peer pressure, my son tried what he was told was a Percocet. I think these kids see other people doing things and they're like, it's okay, they're doing it. They kind of the power and number type thing. And he tried it and it got a hold of him.
That was it. So you're from California, if I remember correctly, right?
That's where we were living in Dana Point, yeah.
Okay, I remember that. So was it a one-time thing for Weston? Had he been doing drugs and eventually he got a bad dose? What was his history with that?
I don't know.
Okay. Just so you know,
yeah.
I'm a recovering addict.
Oh, you are?
I've been to rehab twice. I struggled with cocaine and liquor for a long time.
Yep.
For over 3 decades. Now, I wasn't an everyday user. I was a binger, but I would disappear for 4 or 5 days at a time. Mm-hmm. So, and I've seen my brothers and sisters in this die. I was just given an award a couple of weeks ago with Darryl Strawberry for being inspirational to folks. So
Thank you.
I understand the Weston story, just so you know that.
So here's what I'll say about fentanyl to just make this easier for people to understand. Not all kids die the first time, but fentanyl is 50 times more addictive than crack is. And we all know, what was that whole expression, that if you try crack one time, you're addicted.
Which I did.
Boom.
So. Yeah.
But this is 50 times more addictive than crack. So if you try fentanyl once, it's not a matter of if you're going to die, it's when, without major severe intervention.
And even people that don't take the drug. I mean, I know police officers that make a bust. They go to a trunk and they die just from being somewhere near the drug. It's really unbelievable. Where were you on that horrific day?
So I was not home. My husband found him, thank God. And, I wasn't there because I would not have been able to survive. I don't know that I would have made it through. I did not. I didn't see my son. I know my husband really suffers from PTSD now.
Was he saw him?
It's like he went away to the war.
So you never went even down to the morgue? None of that? You never?
Oh, no, I did see him after, yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
I was shielded from the initial,
No, Ann,
from being
is he
there.
your only child? Do you have other children?
I have children.
Okay.
But I have met other parents that have found their child, and they all suffer from PTSD. It's terrible, and that maybe that's why I do have some strength, because I did not have to be there through that horrible.
How long
time.
ago did Weston pass away?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Does it feel like 2 years? Does it feel like yesterday? Does it feel like 50 years? How
It
does
feels
feel?
like yesterday. It feels like today. It doesn't get any easier ever.
So when I go on the air and I yell and scream, that's my gig. That's why people love me. About Biden and what a terrible thing he's done with the border and Mayorkas, and I scream on behalf of Weston, God rest his soul. This is your son. So if I'm screaming, you really got to be pissed.
Oh, I mean, it's unimaginable how Biden isn't doing anything about it, and yeah, I'm pissed. You'd think that someone who knows what loss feels like, because he's lost a child, someone who has a child who is an addict,
Yeah.
would find this extremely important to fight. So there's something else going on. Cartels are very wealthy. Carrie Lake exposed that they were running elections in all 50 states.
She's terrific.
She is terrific. I think that has probably something to do with why they're not doing anything. I think there's a lot of money in it. And
Of
like
course.
Trump always says, follow the money.
Of course. Do you live in Arizona now?
No, that's where we were initially from.
Okay.
All of my kids were born in Scottsdale. Actually, initially we're from the East Coast, but all of my kids were born in the Scottsdale area,
Okay.
and then we moved to Dana.
I was wondering why you mentioned Carrie Lake. She's a great friend of mine, too. And, of course, she is running for Senate in
Got some
Arizona.
great friends.
Yeah, I have a lot of good friends. I have a lot of good friends. So you moved out to California. And you're right. I mean, he lost his little girl. She died tragically in a car accident. He also lost his son, who died of cancer, Bo, a couple years ago. So he's lost 2 of his children now.
He knows the feeling of loss. He doesn't seem to care about all these other parents who are waking up to walk in to find their kids dead in their beds.
You know,
It's horrible.
It is horrible. But one of the things I talked about at the very top of this conversation, Ann Fundo here, and her son Weston, God rest his soul, is the everyday Americans. And when I said that, I noticed during the introduction, you shook your head positively, Like, yeah, that really is the case. It's like Hulk Hogan and
100%,
these other guys.
yeah.
You appreciate that from President Trump, don't you?
I mean, I think every American can relate that we feel a real, genuine love from him. I know we all feel like almost like we know him.
Yeah.
And he knows us. Like, it's a real connected love that we have for this man, because he loves us,
Were you always a Republican, or did that change over the years with Trump?
No, my dad was a World War II veteran. He raised me a patriot.
Hero.
So yes, I have always been, and I'll tell you, I'm glad I'm on the right side of this fight, because I do see, it doesn't discriminate. It will take a kid from a Republican. It will take a kid from a Democrat. It doesn't care.
Right.
So I do see people come to some of the support groups I'm in, like Lost Voices of Fentanyl is one that I actually am involved with. And I see
What is that called now?
Lost Voices of Fentanyl.
And you started that?
No,
Okay.
April Babcock started it. She's a warrior, but I'm one of her moderators.
Awesome. Awesome.
And we see people come in and, we say things like close the border, and you'll see, people who have lost children struggle to try to defend President Biden, and you can't.
Can't do it.
You can't.
You just can't do it.
And the struggle is real for them. I mean, they try and they get angry, but that's how strong the division is in politics, that when their own child dies, they can't even see, what is being done.
Terrible.
And I feel bad for them. It's very, very difficult.
Well, you're a better
to watch.
person than me. You feel badly for them. I hate them.
But they've lost a child,
I know,
I feel bad that
but
they're
you would
struggling.
think they'd be doubly as
Exactly.
as
And a lot of them do.
enthusiastic.
I got to tell you, a lot of them do say, I can't even believe,
Yeah.
I supported this man before. A lot of people do, but there's some that still are diehard. They're indoctrinated.
They're not diehard Biden people. They just really hate Trump. We
Yeah,
understand.
well, they're indoctrinated.
Right. Nobody
like I
votes
said,
for Biden. Nobody votes for Biden. Nobody.
Excellent.
They either vote for or
Absolutely.
against Trump. That's it.
That's right.
Am I right?
Yeah.
So I must say this, that you're doing important work.
Yeah.
And your husband, your son, did not die in vain.
No.
And I'm sure wherever he is, Weston, he's very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
And the more you talk and the more you tell people about your story, then the more kids you are saving. Whether or not this son of a bitch stays in office or not, I'm sorry, but I really can't stand him.
I cannot imagine how he could stay in office. I mean, there's no way. There's no way. They're trying to push him out of their own party.
But if they do, you'll get Harris, and she's no better. Don't forget, she's been the border czar. How is that going?
There is no if. There is no other way. We have to have
Trump.
President Trump back. There is no other way.
Agreed. And Funder, God bless you.
God
and,
bless you. Thank you.
God bless Weston and your whole family, and
Thank
hopefully
you.
things get better, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, nice
I
to meet
appreciate it.
Ann Funder. That's a wonderful woman, courageous woman, and all of our hearts go out to Ann.
Thank you.
The best to Weston. I'm sure is watching this right now and is very, very proud of you. We'll take a short break. More of Sid and Friends in the Morning right after this.